game. Time to play the game!
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tono's Everything, the podcast on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Today we're doing a TFC roundtable. I have my guest, Mr. Mario PILEGGI here, and we're going to discuss everything TFC, especially since today is March 2nd and it is their season opener in Philadelphia. We're actually watching the game live here at Bond Sportsplex 2. We just witnessed Jonathan Osorio miss a penalty shot in Philadelphia. Really a sad attempt at finishing a PK from someone who should be scoring and who's got the experience now and is no longer a rookie. We're going to discuss all this and more today on Tono's Everything, the podcast. Before we start, I want to give 3 quick shout-outs. First, I'd like to give Matthew, who is turning 9, a shout-out. It's his birthday. He's doing it here today at Bond Sportsplex 2. So happy birthday to you, Matthew. I know you and your dad are viewers. We appreciate you being here and supporting us. I also want to thank Santiago from TFC on the Road for donating some merch. Thanks, Santiago. If you're looking to join a bunch of really enthusiastic fans on the road to view TFC, join Santiago. You can find him at tfcontheroad.com. And I also want to send a shout out to Alberto Tari from Elite Suites and Shooting Stars Academy, who last night put on a fundraiser for a little girl here in Vaughan. Her name is Jada. She is unfortunately suffering from leukemia. She's undergoing treatment, and Alberto helped raise $20,000 for the family. The family's been here a short time. They are immigrants, and he went out on a limb and put this thing together. Literally in 2 weeks' time, raised 20 grand. Thank you for supporting the community, and we love it when soccer is able to bring people together to support youth and to support people who are sick, especially young sick kids. So thank you, Alberto. Mr. PILEGGI, tell me, what do you think? We just witnessed Jonathan Osorio miss a penalty shot. What are your thoughts?
I'm super excited that first and foremost we have our season back going on. March 2nd, great day. TFC, MLS is back everywhere. We just have to make sure now that we start focusing our attention on how we're supposed to be winning our games.
How do you think this season's going to play out? We watched some CONCACAF soccer so far. First game was 4-0 in Panama. They ended up tying at BMO. We were at the game. You got to ask Ali, the general manager, some questions in terms of how he thought this season would unfold. What do you think's going to be here in your forecast and in your mind? What do you think is going to happen with TFC this season?
Well, it's sad because we want them to succeed. I think everybody needs to understand that we are probably the biggest TFC fans there are in this city. We have to make sure that we give them the support system that they need, but not when they're playing the way that they're playing. Somebody needs to be accountable for what's happening. So Ali decided to state in a previous podcast that he doesn't believe that this is going to be our year. So when we were at the game and we were in the Tunnel Club, he came around, he started speaking, he asked us.
And you asked him a question. What was the question that you asked Ali? And it was good of him to take some questions, because I know at the unveiling of the new jersey, they didn't take questions, but they did take a question from you. What was your question?
My question was, is this going to be our bust season? Are you going to be focusing your attention on next season, or is it going to be on this season? And he stumbled a bit. He went on about a 2-minute rant trying to correct that mishap that he said on his podcast. He should have been able just to tell us, no, this is our season. We are going to win. These are our moves. This is who we're going to sign. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, and he was trying to be obviously very careful and politically correct. I think he used the word balance 4 times.
Yep.
No disrespect to him, because as a human being, he may be a great guy.
Sure.
But I don't want a general manager who is going to be politically correct and worried about balance and creating balance. I want to win.
Yeah.
This game is war on a 350-foot field. You get out there, you got to win. And as a general manager, you got to instill confidence, not just in your players and your coaching staff, but also in your fans, especially if you're taking questions. What I wanted to hear from Ali was, we're going to go out there, we're going to make some serious moves, we're going to buy a DP, and we are going to make some significant headway this season. And we did not hear that at all. In fact, we heard him say that there is no deal for a DP, and
None.
He stated that in front of 50 people. I got some backlash on Instagram from a bunch of TFC supporters saying, no, it's a done deal. We've got the DP signed.
It's not a done deal.
We just heard Ali say it is not a done deal.
He said he wanted nothing more than to report to the group of people that were watching there, because there were 7,500 people at BMO Field last week. 7,500. You could hold 30,000 people. They didn't even bring people up from the second tier level down. It was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. From a sales
in one of the papers, they put down BMO the desert, the winter desert.
It's crazy.
And it was exactly that. The stands were completely empty.
Crazy.
And it was reminiscent of my youth when the Blizzard started their downfall. When the Toronto Blizzard used to play down at the CNE Stadium, they started with this emphatic following. People loved it because it was the Pele era. There were tons of players who were big names on the world stage who played in the North American Soccer League, and people followed them. But eventually, when management started taking that for granted and that following for granted, things started to wane. And when you start seeing 7,000 fans in a stadium that now holds 30,000 people, that's a sign.
Yep.
So what do we need to do to radically change things? Or maybe the management doesn't want to radically change things. Maybe MLSE is content with what they're doing and they're going to focus on the Raptors, the Leafs, and put TFC on the back burner. What do you think?
Who really knows? At this point, you know, you see some really big signings that happen with the Raps, some huge signings that happen with the Leafs. I know every team has its own pot, right? They have their own little bag of tricks. They have their own little bank account.
sure.
But at the end of the day, how can Larry Tannenbaum and MLSC say, we just hoisted a trophy. We just had a parade for TFC 2 years ago. We should be contenders for 3, 4, 5 years in a row. How are we here?
Build a dynasty. And this
Build
is
a
what
dynasty.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you've got the general manager with the attitude that I'm going to come in and create balance, listen, you know what? We're not creating dynasties.
But didn't you feel that he was a little too laxed in his speaking? Like
For me, he was a politician. Like, I think
Exactly.
he should join the Trudeau government. He should be running with him. At the end of the day, you know what? Let's be politically correct. Make everybody happy. And you know what? You want to do that, you're never going to be a winner. You cannot make everyone happy. And people, you know, on Instagram, were giving me a lot of grief for that. I don't give a shit because at the end of the day, I got my own opinions.
Yep.
And if I were in charge, I know what I would do, and we'd be a winning team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I would never go up in front of all my fans, especially in front of the club section fans who are paying big bucks, and say, I want to create balance. To me, that is the worst possible thing he could have ever said. What he should have said is, you know what, I'm going out like LA did, and I'm getting another DP. Someone like a Giuseppe Rossi, who played in the Italian national.
We could have had him.
You got it, we could have him, but LA takes him. And we're just standing by waiting. At the end of the day, this waiting game isn't going to help. We just saw Osorio miss this penalty shot. We see them doing nothing in Philadelphia. They got another new formation. Bono's still in net. Nothing seems to be changing. The only thing that should be changing is, and if I'm the GM and TFC does not win today, Vanny gets canned.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you agree?
I do agree with you. I like Vanny. I like what he stands for. But the last year, even the start of CONCACAF, I have not seen a hungry coach there destined for success. We hear Bradley had a nice little 10-minute interview on their internal TFC podcast saying, you know, we understand what happened, we have a new mentality. Where's the mentality? You guys are champions. You walked down, you went to Nathan Phillips Square, you had a party bus. This is a bloody big deal for you guys to have this trophy. How can you not be hungry enough to have it again in your hands?
You hit the nail on the head. When you talk about hungry, I challenge any TFC fan, any one of the Reds fans, to go and watch an AC Milan post-game interview with Gattuso.
Yeah.
Go watch Renato Gattuso, the coach, and you will see him, the backlash that he gives reporters and people who disagree with his point of view. He slams them, and you know what? At the end of the day, he may be wrong, but he's right in his mind.
Yes.
And he's got the conviction to say whatever he feels is right, and he's taking that team to the top of Serie A. They're in the 4th ranking.
Sure.
Gattuso was a no-name coach. He wasn't really a coach. He came from Greece, Turkey, did a couple of stints there. Next thing you know, he's in Serie A, former
But
AC
they like
Milan
his
player.
mentality.
He's got the winning mentality.
Yes, he does.
He's got the heart and he's got the drive. And I don't see that with Vanny. I don't see that with Ali as a GM. I see them playing it safe. Safe doesn't win championships.
Exactly.
If you're in the sports scene or if you're in professional sports, like all these MLS people are, at the end of the day, you've got to be a winner. You cannot be a team like TFC did for 7 or 8 years that just struggled year after year after
Those
year.
Those are tough years going to BMO
And they were
Field.
lucky that they had a hungry fan base that wanted soccer. Toronto is a sports city. Let's say it. You know what? We got the Raptors, which are killing it this year. You got the Leafs with Tavares. There's a lot of competition. TFC will definitely be on the back burner if they don't start performing. And the way it looks like today, you know, they're playing Philadelphia. First half, awful play. They can't blame it on the weather. because Philadelphia's training in the same and playing in the same conditions. So what can we say? You know, you got Hamilton up front today. You got Osorio, who's basically.
I don't understand that. I don't understand.
What's the formation today? They changed it again.
They did change it again.
This is, I think, the third formation that Vanny has gone with. And not that I disagree with that. You can change formations. But ultimately, you've got the same pieces of the puzzle, and you're just moving them left and right.
So you're at a 3-4-2-1 formation today with Hamilton up top and De Leon and Osorio leading the pack, feeding Hamilton. Okay, I like Hamilton, local boy, product of the system, great.
And Osorio, who had an amazing season last year.
But not today. Not today. We're guys that were supposed to be gelling together. We're these new players. Pozuelo, any close to getting signed? I don't think so.
Yeah, people are saying, it's a done deal, but you know what? He's not here. And I know they're saying they're waiting for the Belgian league to finish. I think it's March 17th. But again, I am a skeptic, and I'll tell you why I'm a skeptic. Because just like we talked about Jovinko before Jovinko left.
Preach this.
They kept saying Jovinko missed the last week of training camp because he was ill. It was all bullshit. We know that he was not ill. He was actually in California sipping martinis with the Saudis, looking at his desert palace in Saudi Arabia saying, hey, bring me the money, baby. Show me the money. 11 million bucks. Saudi Arabia looks good to him. He's petting lions now. Jovinko's loving it. And at the end of the day, they lied to us in the fan base and said he was ill. Why would they deceive their loyal fan base like that? So I'm thinking, you know what? It's happening again.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Jovinko leaving and his farewell speech?
So I'm very biased with this because I have a very strong opinion when it comes to how TFC and MLSE as an organization treated Jovinko towards the end. So, my little rant here is that how do you not give a farewell to the best player the MLS has ever seen? Leading goal scorer for TFC. The guy created magic every time he was on the field. You look at all the kids that were in the stand, adults, including myself. How many Jovinko jerseys were out there? You see Bradley
How much
jerseys?
money was made in merchandising with Jovinko jerseys?
I can't believe it.
So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I don't really give a shit what people think if they don't like it or not. I'm going to say it's because he was Italian. At the end of the day, we often talk about discrimination. Discrimination in sports, in Italy, it happens all the time. There's racism all the time against North African players, against players from all over the world who are not Italian. But it happens right here in Toronto, and it happened against an Italian player. You've got management, and I've got to say it again, and a lot of these TFC fans who you see in the supporters section are English, and you know what? Those are the fans who support Manchester United. They support the Reds.
Don't hate on this.
They can hate whatever they want. Like I said, I don't give a shit. I'm going to say what I think. And what I think is because he was Italian and because they feel like, hey, you know what? We paid him all these big bucks. We don't owe him anything. They didn't give him the proper send-off.
I think it's
that's bullshit.
I think it's a slap in the face of the Italian-Canadian community. I think
absolutely.
I do. With all the things that we did as an Italian-Canadian community for Jovinko, launching him to the community, all these parties, all these fundraisers, everything. And it's not like he never gave back. He did give back as well in player appearances or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, MLSE, shame on you. TFC, shame on you. You should have given him a farewell message. You did it for Vasquez. You did it for every other player. You have enough footage to do a highlight reel. How do you not do that for the best player, the league, not TFC,
That's
the
right.
league
MVP.
League MVP.
At the end of the day, it's their loss. I don't know if you saw the highlight of the goal that Jovinko scored.
Beautiful.
Phenomenal goal,
Beautiful.
Great finisher.
He's just popping goals in.
And let me tell you, without someone like Jovinko, or Altidor's not back yet, without Altidor, they are never going to score those goals. All due respect to Osorio and the rest of these guys, they are not at the level of a Jovinko or an Altidor. No. And without someone to feed Altidor like Jovinko did, they're going to be in big trouble. So let me ask you this question. In terms of the fans, you've seen a mixed bag of fans.
Sure.
What do we need to do to attract more fans to watch TFC? Because we're still hardcore fans, and we're doing this because we love the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still at the games. Guys, season ticket holders over here, right? We're there at the games. We're there cheering them on. We're not there telling people off. We're there. We were so passionate about this that we want that other trophy. But when management is not doing what they're supposed to do to give us, the loyal fans, the diehard fans, the season ticket holders, the opportunity to understand what's happening, that's where I get frustrated.
Absolutely.
How can you not tell us what's happening?
So let's talk a little bit about that because we talked about the cost of attending a game. The cost of attending a pro sports game in Toronto is ridiculous.
Too much.
To watch a Leaf game, unheard of. It's a corporate environment. Raptors getting to be the same thing.
Yep.
Very expensive. TFC was one of the only venues and one of the only vehicles in Toronto sports where you could take your family, have an enjoyable day or afternoon or evening, and say, hey, you know what? We had a good time at a major league sporting event.
Can't even do that anymore.
What's the cost? What's the cost of seeing a game? And what's the cost of, let's say, club section? Because those are the big ticket seats, and those are the seats that obviously play for these DPs. What's the cost of attending a game?
So if you are home opener, club seats on the 19th are probably going to go around $220 to $250 a seat.
So $220 a seat. That is just the seat.
Just a seat.
What's parking cost at BMO?
$30.
$30. A beer?
13.
Popcorn?
At least $10.
There you go. At the end of the day, one person is not walking out of
Yep.
there without spending at least $300.
Sure.
What are we going to do to attract the kids and the families? Is it even their goal to attract families, or do they want to eliminate families, have diehard supporters and the corporate people there, this way that they can turn it into a very similar atmosphere like it is at a Leaf game or at a Raptors game? What's your opinion of that?
So it's interesting you say that, because since we started, last week's first roundtable, my phone's been blowing up with people that's, as a season ticket holder, you become a family with the people that are around you. I don't know people I have contacts from Oakville, from Brampton to Mississauga, that you just become a unit, the people that are sitting around you. And they're all sending me messages saying, why can't we figure out a way to attract more people to come to the event? Well, you can't get more people to show up to BMO Field without giving them an incentive to be there.
Absolutely.
So what's the incentive? Is the incentive maybe a marquee player? Well, Javinko was the incentive for me.
Absolutely.
Josie was the incentive for me.
Absolutely.
A winning team was the incentive for me.
Right.
But now that's not good enough.
So do you think people will turn on TFC? Now, the CPL's about to start their inaugural season in April. Will people turn to a product like the CPL?
No chance.
We've got York 9 over here that's playing out of York University Stadium. Will people attend these CPL games? Like, they just had a press conference this week just down the street from us here, and I think they had probably 10 to 15 people show up. Okay, for a major league
It's sad.
sports organization press conference. What do you see happening with the CPL? Do you see people starting to exit the TFC stands and moving over to York University?
So I think I spoke to you about this privately. My rep that just took over our season ticket holder account, they changed like the wind over there at TFC. So this new guy comes in and introduces himself to me, and he's
probably a 21-year-old intern. And
for sure.
And
no
it's not a
offense,
shot to
you need the
21-year-olds.
job.
Absolutely.
You need the job.
You
Go
need a
work.
job. That's right.
Okay, produce in
Kudos
society.
to them.
Yeah, absolutely. But my question to this person was, have you received some backlash? Absolutely. I said, okay, simple math. Let's just say you had 100 people under your belt. How many of that 100 did you lose? Well, 25. So you lost 25% of your premium season ticket holders, guys that are spending the money, guys that are paying for the Tunnel Club, guys that are paying for the BMO Club, guys that are paying for the West Club. All that money,
Absolutely.
25% of those people
That's
said,
massive.
I'm out. That's huge.
So comparatively, you hear about what's happening in the economy in the U.S. and Canada. Just this week alone, major retailers have announced that they'll be closing. So just as an analogy,
Crazy.
you've got
Crazy.
Victoria's Secret that just announced they're closing down I think most of their stores in Canada,
Yep.
50 stores in
Payless
Canada.
Shoes.
Payless Shoes is closing down. Michael's Arts is
Bow
closing
Rings.
down. Absolutely. And the list goes on and on and on. Is it possible that we could see TFC at a point where they not only lose 25%, but 50%, 60%, and maybe sell the team off? And if they do, I'm telling you, we're buying that damn team.
Well, I'm telling you right now that they're running a very, very slippery slope with what's happening right now. Their tight-lipped approach to this entire organization and the way that they're treating us as fans right now has to come to an end. Because if you do not start speaking, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's an internal Facebook post or an Instagram message or whatever it may be. It doesn't need to be a glorified press conference.
I
Speak
totally
to us.
agree. So what I think is the problem is they're not vested, right?
Sure.
They're corporate people. It's not a private owner.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a private owner and you've got a corporate entity that is running a team, they're not hungry.
Yeah.
And they don't care. At
They're
the end
not
of the
hungry.
week, every 2 weeks, they get a paycheck, gets direct deposit. They don't
Exactly.
give a shit.
Exactly.
So what we need is a passionate owner like me and you,
Yep,
and
sure.
maybe a group of other people who are really interested to take this thing on and make this a dynasty, a legacy. And that's what I want for TFC. I want TFC to be my legacy, my dynasty.
Yep.
I want you on board, and I want the serious soccer community on board, and I want us to put us on the map as one of the leading soccer cities in the world, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it will happen, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a lot of mismanaged teams that are going to be coming out of the woodwork in the MLS, and they're going to be looking for people like Tony, like others, that want ownership from a local person or an invested person that wants to win and win championships. Right now, Larry Tannenbaum doesn't want to win a championship. I'm sorry, Larry. I'm calling you out. Show up here, have a conversation with us.
Yeah, it'll never happen.
But
we know
of course it's never going to happen.
We know that. And we know that none of the MLSE reps are going to be here because they don't want to have this candid, hard conversation.
Or they don't want to lose their job.
Absolutely.
They don't want to
it's
lose
about
their job.
job security. At the end of the day, you know what? For them, like I said, they're not independent private owners. It is not personal to them. So whether they win or lose, at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference. You know, the guys who work in the ticketing department, if they lose their job with MLSE, they move on to something else. It is not personal. It is not their passion.
Well, a source told me that work in sales at TFC right now, that they're struggling. They're going to struggle. The home opener will be
we'll
the
see
home
layoffs soon. We'll see layoffs
we
soon.
will. But, you know, let's call a spade a spade. The home opener will be successful just because it's the home opener.
That's right.
Every home opener.
Blue Jays do it every year. You got it. Home openers always super successful.
We'll see after the second or third game, if we start averaging anywhere between 15 to 20,000 fans at games, it's going to be bad. You are going to see holes in that stadium like you've never seen before. So then what happens to the fan that pays the premium ticket in the 100 levels?
Absolutely.
When the guy from upstairs is going to get brought down for free.
Well, they should have did it the other game. You know what? At the end of the day, we're club seat members. We sit in some of the best seats. We pay for it.
Of course.
But what I would have did as an owner is, you only got 7,000 people in the
Bring them
stands.
down.
Bring the people down. Support the people. They're your people, TFC.
bring them down.
If you don't care about your people, you don't deserve to be in the MLS. You don't deserve to be in soccer. Let us do what we need to do because we will take care of the fans. One of the things I do here at Sportsplex is customer service. I'm all about customer service. I know every single permit holder's name here, and I take care of those people. And I pride myself on that because those people support me. At the end of the day, we're only here because of those people, and that is what MLSE has forgotten, and we don't forget our supporters. That's one thing that I can guarantee if we take over the team. One of the things I've been analyzing over the last week is the situation in New York. New York has two professional teams, Red Bulls and New York FC. At the end of the day, two teams can exist in a big market, and that's what I've been looking at. And at the end of the day, BMO Field is not owned by MLSE, it's owned by the city of Toronto. There is a possibility of having a second team in the GTA, maybe not playing out of BMO, but playing out of somewhere else. And that is a definite possibility for Toronto. And I'd love to see that happen because I think competition improves the quality of anything. It improves the quality of business, customer service, and it will definitely improve the quality of soccer in Toronto. MLSE cannot have a monopoly in this city.
I believe that if there was a sole proprietor, a one owner for an MLS team, to enter into another Ontario market right now, you will see a massive shift of people that leave TFC to move to the new franchise.
Agreed.
Mark my words, 100%, because you will be able to speak about the passion and the wanting to win and the hungry attitude that's needed to be successful to win championships.
Absolutely. And you know what I don't see from the management, and with all due respect again to Ali and the rest of the management team, I do not see the dreaming passion which exists in me and in you. I'm a dreamer. The reason I have this place is because I'm a dreamer. You don't play it safe. Dreamers do not play it safe. You take a chance, you take a risk, you put it on the line. And when you put it on the line, that's when you achieve success. When you get hit in the gut and you can get back up and you can fight to get back to the top, you will be successful.
Absolutely.
And TFC doesn't have it. It's not in their gut.
Well, they don't have it on the pitch right now. They don't have it in a coach right now, and I believe they don't have it in senior management.
Absolutely.
Okay? They need to restructure, and I'm not saying blow up the team. We have a lot of great pieces. We have a lot of good things that are happening from the academy level all the way up to TFC2, all the way up to our first-tier team. But if you don't have a real entrepreneur, if you don't have a real passionate person behind that mission,
absolutely,
it's just going to crumble.
Absolutely, agreed. If TFC is not successful today and they lose against Philadelphia and go on to lose the next couple of games, what do you see happening? What will happen? Will Vanny be fired?
Yes, absolutely. Vanny will be removed from his position. They will reevaluate who's available on the market, or they'll probably instill an interim head coach for the rest of the season that's going to be given a mandate. That person's going to be given a mandate to say, follow this style of soccer, this style of play. This is what we want in order to make sure that we have another star put on this scarf. Okay?
Absolutely.
That's what needs to be done.
Okay, Mario. So we talked about this earlier. What we want to do is we want fan participation. So if you support this podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to take you with us, club section, all
Absolutely.
expenses paid, food, beer, etc. You will not have to pay a dime. You will be our guest at a TFC home game. We want you to follow us. Make sure you follow us at GTA Sportsplex on Instagram. Mario, where else can they follow us on Instagram?
Oh, at
Real?
real_rant. We're going to be starting that handle right now. If you have any ideas, anything that has to do with MLS, anything to do with TFC, please just get in contact with us. Tons of prizes, tons of season ticket giveaways this year. And just make sure that you come support the Toe Knows Everything podcast, because we're going to make sure that that thing gets blown up. This TFC roundtable is going to continue. We're going to be having some viewer night parties over here, so you can come watch some away games with us. And let's just have a conversation.
And you know what, Mayor? We're going to give MLSC and TFC the benefit of the doubt.
Of course,
and some people
long
say,
season.
hey, Toe, why are you so angry? You're so negative. My father used to say, you know what? You take a finger, then you want to take my arm.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we can only give them so much time to improve, because it is not a long-term marathon. People say sports is a marathon. That is total BS. The Leafs have not won since 1967, and people are fed up. So I'm going to tell you this, coming from my dad, old school. You either make it happen, and you make it happen quickly, because this is a business at the end of the day. It's sports and entertainment. You make it happen now, or there will be consequences.
Yeah, I believe
That's
it.
the bottom line.
I believe it.
And I agree with you totally. Banny will be fired.
Yeah.
They'll have to revamp. Who do you bring in as coach? Who would you bring in as the coach?
Well, I would like to see a European coach enter into the TFC locker room. I don't know what it is, and maybe I'm biased as an Italian Canadian. Maybe I'm biased just because I was raised old school with my dad, always believing hard work pays off. But at the end of the day, Tony, one thing that we'll agree with on this is that in order to have a European flair, an individual over there that's going to be a leader, that's going to say, you're going to do what I'm telling you to do in
Agreed.
a respectful way. Now where there's backlash
Agreed.
and conversations that are happening.
Or at the very least, have a Canadian coach, for God's sakes.
Okay.
All due respect, again, Vanny, an American product, comes from the MLS, but is not representative of the Canadian culture. If you are a TFC fan, would you not want to see someone with some Canadian experience, for God's sakes?
But you
Support
think we
your
have
own.
it? You think we actually have the capability of having a successful Canadian coach? You think there's Canadian coaches
Absolutely,
out
and we
there?
had it in the ranks. We had Carmen Insako, who was the goalie coach the first couple of years at TFC. Again, I hate to say it, but they did not let him climb the ranks. So we do have very good quality coaches here in Canada. We don't allow them to develop. We've never given them the opportunity to be center stage. We need to start doing that. Canadians need to support Canadians. And like Trump says, if we need to build a wall so that the Americans don't get in, let's build the damn wall. Mayor, last words.
I wish Josie Altidore a very speedy recovery. I know that this guy is hungry to be on the pitch. After watching his podcast with his contract extension, I hope that I see some new leadership coming out of him. We're not getting it out of Bradley. Let's see if this guy's going to answer some questions on that field and make sure that we get successful.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, Mario. Join us next week again on another episode of Toe Knows Everything, the podcast. Follow us. Make sure that you tag some friends, because you will get the opportunity to join us right here at Bond Sportsplex 2 to be part of this podcast, and you'll join us in the very best seats down at BMO. Join us. You won't be disappointed. Have a great week.
It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control. And if you can take it, it's all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pay. And who's gonna make it?